My name is Devontae Xavier Hamilton. I'm 25 years old, and I'm also a single father to writer James Mason Hamilton. He's 5 years old. James Duplichin to me is family. He's like a brother. I know for myself, I can go to him with anything, and he gonna give it to me raw, uncut, straight truth. No padded answer. It's gonna be straight up and straightforward. Whether it angers you, makes you cry, or whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? Because he's gonna tell you how it is. Me and James actually met in actually middle school. I moved out to Kendall, Louisiana when I was 12. That was actually one of the first guys that I would say came up to me when my first day. I was like, "What's up, man? Where you from?" So it kind of went off from there. We got close in high school though. Our senior year, I was going through some things, and he was there, and we've been cool ever since.
Do you remember the day of his accident, and how did you hear about it?
The day of his accident, I was not there, but the day previously, he had actually messaged me on Facebook. He was back in town at the time. I think he was working on the railroads, so he was like, "Man, what's up, bro? I'm back in town. Get at me. I want to see you before I leave." So the next day was actually when he had his accident. I found out the day after that, and that's the craziest thing that's the last person I think would break his neck doing a dive into the river, because James was always flipping off of everything, doing backflips. So to hear that, I was shocked.
Yeah, that was my next.
The immediate impact, soon as I found out James had broke his neck diving into the river, I was shocked, man. I was really caught off guard, because all the time I knew him, he was cutting backflips off of houses, cars, off the ground, onto mattresses and things like that. So to hear him actually diving into the river that he always goes to and breaking his neck, it was just surreal.
What was your initial conversation with James the first time you spoke with him after the accident?
My initial conversation with James, I went to see him in the hospital, and he was like, "Nothing could hold me down, man. We're going to get through this. We're going to get over this." And the last time I had talked to him, I went through a tough time in life, and he reminded me, man, of that time. It's like, I've always been there for you. You know what I'm saying? I know you're going to be there for me.
Yeah.
So it was understood, like, we brothers for life.
That's awesome. What have you learned throughout this process with James that has helped you in your own personal day-to-day life?
There's quite a few things that I've taken from this situation. One major thing being that mental toughness is key for everyone in day-to-day life. James has been a person that's never really depended on anyone as far as needing help for any situation. He's always been the rock. He's been the person that people go to for help, for assistance, for even guidance at certain points. And now he's in a situation where, he depends on people 24/7 for everyday activities, as far as even to the little things as, wiping his nose when he sneezes, or feeding him, giving him something to drink, bathing him. The things that we take for granted every day that we don't necessarily care about, those things are now cared about and needed. Those are a necessity. So for him to be mental tough, man, and stick through this whole situation as it unfolds, I've learned for myself, I need to be mentally tough for any situation that comes my way, because if you're not mentally tough, you're gonna give up. And James has given me hope in so many situations in my life, just from being mentally strong. As far as other situations go, man, I've noticed from a situation, you find out who's really there for you when the times are down, when the chips are stacked against you and the odds are there. The people that you thought was down for you really aren't. They might pop in and out here and there, but that every day, every second, knowing and reassurance that, okay, I know this person's gonna be here for me no matter what, it shows. And that's one of the major things that I've seen him go through and I've learned from in this situation.
Last question is, how would you define your relationship with James today?
Our relationship with James today, man, is amazing. I call him as much as I can, or whenever he calls me, I try to make a absolute effort to make sure I answer that phone call. I can honestly say we're closer than ever. We have an understanding now of what life really is. Who's really there? You know, who's really family? Blood makes you family, but loyalty is even more than that. Um, he's been there from the jump, man, from day one, and this situation has actually brought us closer together. Not because of the sadness in it, but the strength that it's brought for both me and him. So our relationship now, man, we blood brothers. That's my dude.
Hi, I'm Maria Frazier, 50 years old. I am married to Bruce. I have 3 children, Paige, Grant, and Elise. I've been an educator for just over 20 years, and I relocated to Kinder approximately 15 years ago.
Tell us a little bit about Maria Frazier.
I am an educator. I teach elementary school. I've been doing it for just over 20 years now. Love kids. Obviously, if I'm a teacher, I have to love kids. And I do. I worry about them educationally, spiritually, mentally. Um,
Can you tell us how you and James met?
I met James about 15 years ago when I relocated to Kinder. Him and my oldest daughter, Paige, were in the same grade. And they became fast friends. They were both quite intellectual students, and they had a lot of fun sparring with each other that way.
I bet so. I bet so. Will you share some of the knowledge of your interaction with James over those years, over the years you've known him?
You know, James was that kid, the kid that just kind of pulled at your heartstrings. He was very quick with his wit, and I loved that about him. He just had that easy smile when he walked into the room. It's like when he entered the room, you know, James is there. And you wanted to talk to him. You wanted to engage him. He had that kind of a personality. Personality that kind of just, if you didn't notice him right away, you were going to notice him pretty soon.
Absolutely. Do you remember the day or the time you can recall learning of his accident?
Living in a small town, 2 things travel fast: good news and bad news. And when it happened to James, it pretty much enveloped the whole town of Kinder really quickly.
Okay. Okay. How has his accident? How has his accident changed the nature of your interaction with him before? Do you per se still interact with him much these days, or?
Unfortunately, I'd have to say no.
Okay.
Not because I don't want to interact with James. Feasibility wise, it's difficult to interact with James. I have tried to keep in contact with him via phone calls. Proximity wise, he lives a distance from here. But it doesn't mean that I don't want a relationship with James. I would love to still have a close relationship with him.
What would you like to see James doing in the next 12 months?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
You know, I think probably anybody would say that they'd love to see James get up and walk again.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Maybe someday technology will catch up with that.
Yes.
I think more than anything, I want James to know that he still has a purpose.
Yes.
I want James to know that that mind that he has, that personality that he has, he can reach out and he can touch people anytime that he wants. And hopefully, I'm hoping that by way of this interview and the presentation that's being done for him, that other people will want to reach out to James.
Yes.
And share that magnanimous quality that he has.
Yes.
That draws him in, draws anyone in to his little circle. I'd like to see James get busy. I hope that he does.